Judgment in former President Jacob Zuma's latest bid to appeal the decision by the Pietermaritzburg High Court to stop his attempt to privately prosecute the journalist Karyn Maughan and the arms deal prosecutor Maughan Downer has now been reserved. In June, the court set aside his summons of the pair and then later granted them an enforcement order which stopped Zuma from ever trying to institute the same legal challenge against them again. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Maughan today. Ziyanda, good afternoon to you. How did the legal arguments go there?
Well, Stephen, I can tell you that Darling Porfu was basically arguing on the basis of Section 18 of the Superior Courts Act, arguing that this court should actually should allow that enforcement order to remain in place whilst they still also contend with the issue of the merits of the private prosecution. But I can tell you that Maughan Downer's lawyers have said that if anything, his client is the subject of abuse and insult on the part of former President Jacob Zuma, and that this court must also make a ruling so as to prevent or perpetuate a tendency of litigants wanting to choose who gets to prosecute them, because ultimately this is what Mr. Zuma is trying to do, to actually remove Mr. Downer, but actually his case has absolutely no merits. Let's listen to what Bud Lender said earlier.
What Mr. Zuma says his attitude is, he says, the day a professional prosecutor is assigned to my case, I will gladly stand trial and prove my innocence. In other words, I'm not going to stand trial. I refuse to stand trial while Downer is there. Mr. Zuma appears to take the view that he has the right to have a designated prosecutor removed by instituting and pursuing a vexatious and unfounded private prosecution. We submit that Mr. Zuma is wrong. If his stratagem succeeds, this will become the basic tool in the toolbox of every well-founded accused who wishes to obstruct and delay their prosecution. They will lay a trumped-up charge, a trumped-up private prosecution, spin that out, and meanwhile that they will say, well, I can't be prosecuted by this person because he's facing charges, which is what Mr. Zuma says. The simple fact is that Mr. Zuma does not have the right to prescribe who may or may not prosecute him. That's the law for everyone.
And so these sentiments were also echoed by Advocate Thembeka Ngcukaitobi, who was representing Karyn Maughan, basically saying that if we look at the prospects of success, the arguments made by the former president, even in his latest appeal, are repetitive, and the merits which have already been dismissed by other courts will still apply. And basically saying the former president is involved in a cynical abuse and a manipulation of the legal system. Let's hear what he said.
Mr. Zuma is in fact engaged in a cynical manipulation of the legal system. That is truly what is going on here, because sometimes the term abuse masks what is truly happening. We are talking about a cynical manipulation of a legal system. Section 7 of the Criminal Procedure Act, on which he purports to rely, is not to be used to punish. It is not to be used to harass. It is not to be used as revenge. It is not to be used as an instrument to settle a score. It is to be used for legitimate reasons. All public power, because Section 7 is in fact statutory power, can only be used for legitimate goals that the statute contemplates should be used for. One cannot turn that on its head and seek to achieve ulterior goals. When one does so in circumstances such as this, where in the first place they turn the prosecutor, Mr. Downer, into an accused. In the second instance, they turn the journalist into an accused. They are manipulating the instruments of the law.
Advocate Thembeka Ngcukaitobi ending that live report by our senior political reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo. Ziyanda, thank you very much indeed.